It has been a while now that a lot of us have been talking about nutrition and nutrients for a healthy life. And there is so much of information on the net, an overload of information actually, that it can leave you confounded. Yes, nutrition is a critical part of health, and good nutrition pertaining to a certain disease can actually cure you of that disease. It is known that even cancer can be cured by eating the right kinds of food. Good nutrition has been able to cure diseases like heart attacks, like osteoporosis, and several other diseases. Diabetes, which is actually on the rise. However, good health is about maintaining a good gut. And there is a lot of talk nowadays about inflammation of the intestine. We know about inflammation of the body when you are injured. However, what is this inflammation of the intestine? And the foods that we can eat to keep our gut healthy. We have with us Dr. Rohini Patil, who is going to throw a lot of light on the inflammation of the intestine, as well as a couple of other topics. Dr. Rohini Patil. She is a doctor, a nutritionist, and an entrepreneur. She is the founder and the CEO of Nutritional Lifestyle, which is a diet, a well-being, and nutrition center. Dr. Rohini Patil in 2019 won an award called the FSSAI Award, and it was a health minister who actually presented the award. It is an award that gives you the authority to make products, if I'm not mistaken. Am I right?
So yeah, the company actually, authorizes the products.
Okay.
But they came up with this award for all the influencers who were doing the right work. So the award is called as Eat Right Award.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
FSSAI Eat
Eat
Right
Right
Award.
Award.
Wonderful, wonderful. And in 2021, Dr. Rohini Patil published her book, The Lifestyle Diet. It was published by Harper's and Collins. In 2023, she won another award, a BW Wellbeing Award. Am I right? Yes. And Dr. Rohini Patil is a TEDx speaker. She's also a columnist. She writes for Sakal as well as the Pune Mirror. A very well-established, rather both of these newspapers are very well-established newspapers in India and very well known. Dr. Rohini Patil, it's a joy, a pleasure to have you here on Mimamsha Talk. It's been a while, that I have actually been wanting you here on this particular talk. Thank you so much for giving us your valuable time.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks.
Well, doctor, my first question to you is about inflammation.
Right.
Because I see that it is rampant. Could you throw some light on what is this inflammation of the intestine?
Right. So when we talk about inflammation, it can be of different types. So, a lot of people also feel that inflammation is mainly about intestines, but there can be multiple causes of inflammation. So the major one is inflammation of your intestines, but inflammation can also be caused due to stress. So stress triggers your cortisol, that completely shifts your metabolic system, and that triggers inflammation.
Yes.
So anything that gives your body a feeling that you have been attacked, either internally or externally, causes inflammation, where your body's immune system starts getting activated,
Okay.
and it goes into this mode that is called as fear, fight, and flight. And when your body is in that mode, it goes in a preservation. The entire metabolic system shifts. And then whatever you eat, whatever you do, your body starts storing it. For example, my body is going through inflammation because of stress, lack of sleep, and bad eating habits or bad eating timings. So that is going to inflame my intestines. That's going to cause bloating with my digestive system. At the same time, my serum cortisol. Cortisol is your stress hormone.
Stress hormone.
Yeah. So when my cortisol goes up, and one fine day I decide I'm going to eat healthy from today, and I eat a salad, but that salad is going to bloat me and it's going to make me put on weight because my body is in that fear, fight, and flight mode, which is under inflammation. So inflammation is a huge, broad term which has multiple causes. One is stress induced, that begins with your brain and your mind. One is liver induced, when your liver cannot function properly, because your liver is the center of detoxification. When liver doesn't work well, the toxins stay inside. That causes inflammation. And third major aspect of inflammation is your digestive system. When you eat wrong foods, when you eat foods that you cannot digest, and it's a very personal thing. So, for example, what you can be allergic to when it comes to food can be so entirely different than what I am allergic to. And genetically, we see most of the Indians now being allergic to dairy and gluten.
Oh, yes.
But you'll be surprised. The other day, I did my food intolerance test and I found out I was allergic to almonds. Now, that's quite new.
It's very new.
But I also want to highlight this thing that this is not a permanent allergy. So this does not mean that I have to stay away from almonds. It means that I have to slowly sensitize my body to be able to digest almonds. So my goal will be not to eliminate almonds completely, but to make my digestive system stronger to digest almonds.
Conditioning the digestive system.
Yes. So I recently did a detailed video on inflammation, and most of the people were confused on how to find out about it.
Yes.
So there are many blood tests which can tell you about what you can digest well and what you cannot digest well. So I would, I always recommend everybody that do these tests, find out what is wrong with you, instead of just randomly picking up a video from Instagram and saying that, okay, I'm going to stay away from all these things. So it's a completely personal thing, it cannot be generalized all the time.
Yes, absolutely. So one of my questions actually to you was going to be this as to, what are the different types of tests, or do we have tests to determine the inflammation or the food allergy or intolerance to a particular food? If you could, maybe just highlight one or two tests that our audience can actually take to understand.
Absolutely. So my basic education is of a doctor. So, I believe in the healing power of the medical science also that we have. But since I specialize in nutrition, I have huge faith on prevention is medicine and not medicine is medicine, That is why there are some wonderful tests that can tell you whether you have inflammation or not, or if something is wrong with your body. First basic one is your serum cortisol. Cortisol is your stress hormone. Whenever you don't sleep well or you're under constant stress, the cortisol is going to go up. Second factor, it's called a CRP, C-reactive protein. Even that gets inflamed when you have any infection or you have any allergies or anything that your body is not coping well with and it's identifying as a foreign body. Third is, of course, like I said, there are food intolerance tests to find out whether your body has inflammation. And other important ones that I feel a proper doctor should be able to identify is your liver function tests and your kidney function tests. That will tell you the normal functioning of your liver and of your kidney. If anything is not working well with your liver, for example, with fatty liver, or if anything is not working well with your kidneys, for example, your sodiums are elevated, potassium is elevated, magnesium levels are, so that means your kidney is not able to remove the waste material.
All right.
And that can also indicate some kind of inflammation, because if these organs are not functioning well, inflammation is going to be higher. So I feel it's an analysis of all these parameters which gives an idea to your doctor where is the inflammation indicating towards, which organ, which part of the body, and it's always best to work according to that.
So it's better to do a test than,
blindly just
blindly follow any diet. And there are several diets out there on the net. Several people talking about, we'll detoxify this and we'll, I don't know, look after your liver. So, are those tests really trustworthy or not? Or rather, whatever, that they're on the net. Not that I want to undermine everybody or anybody who's doing that, but I think we have to be very careful. Yeah, because
I think it's high time that you also have some academic or educational filter for health influencers, because you're in fact playing with somebody's body or you're advocating health, So, I think sooner or later that filter will come in India also. I think there are filters coming for finance influencers. Hopefully something like that, if it comes for health influencers, it's something that
it has to, because, you open the net and there are so many of them talking about health issues.
Right.
And you go to, you can find it. Yeah. So briefly, if you could tell us, are there some kinds of symptoms that one should look out for when they have an inflammation of the intestines?
Yes. First sign is your skin. Your skin is a direct mirror of what goes in your intestines.
Okay.
Okay, so that one pimple popping up here and there, it's not just a hormonal thing. It can be because of something that is not going right with your intestines.
Oh.
And your intestines have these small microvilli. So they have these projections through which the digestion happens. Now what happens, for example, I'm allergic to dairy and I cannot digest dairy well, but I'm having dairy every single day thinking it's giving me good nutrition. Now what's happening is it's sticking to those gut lining and it's not getting absorbed well into my bloodstream.
Okay.
But what this will do, if I do this over and over and over again, it will increase the gaps between these microvilli. And when there are increased gaps between these microvilli, most of the toxins and bacteria which are not supposed to come into my bloodstream will now come because that filter is gone.
Yes.
And when these things percolate in your blood, that is the blood that is going to get circulated through your whole body.
Absolutely.
Because that's what blood does. The same blood is going to go to your brain, the same blood is going to go to your skin, it's going to go to your liver, it's going to go to all your organs. And that is going to trigger inflammation. So first sign is your skin. Second is your stress levels, your mood swings, lack of sleep. All of these can also be a reflection of inflammation. Then things like fatty liver, issues with kidneys, all these can be, direct reflections of inflammation of your intestines. Yeah.
So what could be the remedy really? Is it just your food, the diet that you're going to take care of? Are there other remedies? I mean, stress is everywhere.
Yeah.
It's a competitive world today.
Yeah.
And I guess it's only meditation and things like that that can help you alleviate stress.
Yeah.
However, we don't find people really getting down to meditation.
Yeah.
They say we don't have the time.
Yeah.
Which is something that you really require.
Yes.
So besides maintaining a diet, is there anything else that could remedy this kind of an inflammation?
Yes. So I genuinely feel diet is not 100% solution for this, because no matter what your diet is, if your mind is not at the right place, it's not going to work. So I tell a lot of my patients. So also the bottom line here is most of the patients who come to me, 80% of them do have inflammation. It's just the degree that varies. Lower degree, higher degree, medium degree. So inflammation is something that I work with no matter what. But if your mind is not at the right place, for example, if somebody comes to me for a diet and if that diet feels like something that is really strict and something that they feel that, okay, I'm going to do this for 2 months, then I'm going to go back to my older lifestyle, or they're eating that meal thinking, oh my God, it's a punishment or it's a medicine, that food is not going to do any good to your body. I mean, you must have heard about water memory and healing powers of water, and water carries energy. Same goes with your food. So, I still tell people that before having your meal, say thank you.
Oh, yeah.
It will change the vibration of the meal that you're eating. And these things are extremely powerful. When I tell them, carry your own bottle of water and have a thought of gratitude with every sip, because you still have a lot to be grateful for, no matter what your problems are. That water will heal you more. So these things, though they sound so underlined, but they are yet very powerful. And if you are eating your meal or you're following a diet with a thought process like this, whereas if you're hating the food, feeling that, oh my God, I've been put into this, why is this happening to me? What is wrong with my body? Why are my reports like this? That meal, no matter how healthy it is, it's not going to work.
I completely believe in energy. And I'm so glad you talked about gratitude and to be grateful for the food you eat. A little prayer, blesses the Lord for these which you're about to receive. Something like that will definitely energize the food and help you digest it much, much better.
Yeah, and it'll heal the body eventually.
Oh, yes.
So, no matter what you're battling, it can be something as small as a migraine or something as serious as a cancer.
Yes.
These things are powerful enough to heal and help you get out of it.
Yes, I've heard you say that, nutrition can actually heal cancer.
Yes.
Yeah, and we've got a lot of, people who have spoken about that.
Right.
So one more question about the inflammation of the intestine. So we have GERD, we have gastritis, we have IBS, and all these speak of inflammation.
Yeah.
So do they have different types of, what shall we say, causes?
Yeah.
to understand, because they all stomach ailments.
Yeah.
Right? So I would like you to throw some light on this.
Yes.
And the kinds of food that one would have to eat if, one was suffering from either IBS or, the other two cases,
Yes.
to differentiate.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So let's talk about GERD first.
Okay.
It's a reflux,
Yes.
So it's gastroesophageal reflux. So the problem is there is an issue with a valve that is there at the end of your esophagus. So you have your oral cavity, that's your mouth, then you have your esophagus, then your stomach, and then your small intestine, then large intestine. That is what constitutes your digestive system, and then your anus and rectum. What happens in GERD? It's basically what there is a sphincter, there is a flap at the lower side of your esophagus, which prevents regurgitation of food back into the food pipe. Okay. So I hope it's not getting too scientific.
Not at all.
But
I feel glad that you are, making people aware, because I feel it is of the essence.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
They may go about saying, it is GERD, but what actually is GERD?
Yes. It's so in simple words, and also your stomach is the only organ that secretes acid.
Yes.
There is HCl, and it does beautiful work for our body and with the digestion. But this acid is extremely strong. And what happens when the proportion of this acid is higher compared to the amount it's needed to digest the food or to, break down the food, then the acid is in excess. And when this acid reflects back in the esophageal cavity in your food pipe, it is not, structured to handle that kind of acidic environment or that kind of acid. So you're going to feel heavy burning. It's really painful. It's very uncomfortable. And, because if it continues over the period of time, it can immediately affect the kind of food that you're eating. It affects your sleep cycle. You cannot lie down. So all these things happen because of that. Now, what are the triggers for GERD and causes? It can be junk food. It can be fried food. It can, of course, be stress, because stress triggers all these acid secretions in our body.
Yes.
And if you have a tendency to overeat or eat food every 1 hour or 2 hour, eating every 2 hour, I find it's the biggest myth in the nutrition world.
Okay.
You have to eat when you're hungry.
Got you. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
You have to eat when your gastric fire is on. You can't just put on a timer every 2 hours and just eat for the sake of eating because you have read it somewhere that you have to eat every 2 hours. No, everybody has different meal timings, and it has to be very well customized.
I'm so glad that you're saying this. Yeah. Okay.
So it cannot be. So when you do this, when you're forcing again your body to eat every 2 hours, again that acid is going to get secreted. And all these foods, when they're, when there's excess of acid there, a lot of people stress is the biggest trigger again for this. And then this reflux causes a lot of discomfort. And that is why, it needs medical intervention if it's beyond a certain limit. But to prevent that, you can do simple things like avoiding spicy foods.
Oh, yes.
Avoiding fried foods, avoiding, food that you feel that you cannot digest well or you're allergic to. Like for some people, it's gluten and dairy.
Yes.
So it depends. Now talking about gastritis.
Yes.
Gastritis is inflammation of your stomach or your small intestines. And in gastritis, there is inflammation like we discussed with the microvilli. So the lining of these organs, they are inflamed. And the triggers are same for gastritis also. The trigger is again spicy food, but outside food where there is no proper oil used.
Absolutely.
A lot of hotels,
conditions.
unhygienic conditions. We are already facing this virus called as GBS right now in Pune, which has become very scary. So even a lot of hotels, they use soda in the foods that they are cooking.
That gives you bloating.
That gives you bloating, and that gives you sense of being full when you're not even full. So all these, and then let's not even talk about like these preservatives and artificial sweeteners and artificial colors and food colors.
There's so much of it.
We are bombarded with chemicals every single day, and we just don't realize it.
Yes.
So all these things are going to be a biggest cause for gastritis. And when gastritis and the intestinal inflammation that we discussed, that food that you're allergic to, you're eating it over and over again, and then the toxins and the bad bacteria is coming in your bloodstream. So all these things, when they're repeated over and over, years, for example, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, it is going to lead to IBS and IBD. Because IBS and IBD are end products of gastritis or GERD or minor stomach issues like even constipation or diarrhea, which is unexplained. These things pile up and build up over the years, and then they lead to IBS or IBD, because popping an omaze or popping a
Is not
Panadol
going to
is
help.
not the solution. You're eventually going to land up in this. If you don't do a proper nutritional program, you don't do a proper preventive thing. Of course, if it's really bad, like I said, GERD can be painful. You do take help of medicine.
Yes.
Allopathy is perfect for emergency issues. But you also need to have all these other factors under control so that you don't progress to the worst part of this. And that is how, this whole cycle works.
Okay, so it starts with a GRD.
So GRD not necessarily, but it
Okay.
always starts with gastritis
Oh,
when it comes to IBS and IBD.
okay, and then you've got to really be particular about your diet once you
Yes.
touch IBS.
Yes, not just your diet, your sleep, your stress levels.
Yes.
That's as important as the diet.
So these are
Gastritis.
actually the remedies.
Yeah.
That you need to control actually your mind.
Absolutely.
It's mindful.
It all starts there,
Starts
There was a research which said that, I've written it in my book also, that your gut is your second brain.
Yes.
But your brain is literally controlling everything. So it's just the thought that works with your mind. And because I have seen cases where affirmations have healed them.
I speak extensively in affirmation. In fact,
And it works really well with weight loss.
because you're rewiring your neural brain, your amygdala and prefrontal lobe.
Yeah.
So my TEDx actually focuses on that.
Affirmation.
Brain affirmations.
So I, in spite of being an expert,
Yes.
when I had my baby, I had put on 25 kgs.
Uh-huh.
And I was trying really hard to lose that weight. But surprisingly, I couldn't lose the last 10 kgs of my test. Yes, and not just affirmations, working on the mind, because I couldn't go lower on my calories. I was doing everything right with my food, with my exercise,
in your metabolism.
exactly, until and unless I did not control my stress. I worked on affirmations and gratitude. The weight did not move. I am a real life experience of that.
This is my
It just did not move.
My God, even in my classes, I tell these young ones to actually affirm everything that's positive and change your neural pathway.
Right.
Oh, I'm so glad that we're having this conversation. I really am. I'm grateful to you and the Cosme, honestly. So the remedy, I would say, is food, your entire lifestyle, meditation, which will lower your stress, right? Yeah. I would love to extensively talk about this because, as you said, your gut is your second brain, and your gut is what gives you a healthy body and mind and soul. However, what I want to do is transition to something that is called the sugar spike, which everybody's talking about nowadays.
Right.
The word sugar spike is self-explanatory. But then, how does this happen, and what happens later?
So sugar spike, now I think it's become an obsession where everybody's talking about sugar spikes. They're putting glucose monitors and everything. So there are two ways in which it can affect your body. One is straight direct intestinal inflammation that we have been speaking about in this podcast.
Yes.
So you have two types of bacteria. You have these strains of bacteria in your gut, in your intestines. Some of them are good bacteria and some of them are bad bacteria. The work of these good bacteria is to break down the food that you're eating and digest it well. But there has to be the right balance of good versus bad bacteria. So good bacteria have to be larger in proportion and bad bacteria have to be lesser. When you consume sugar and high sugary foods, these bad bacteria are going to feed on it. That is their nutrition. And when you continuously eat high sugary foods and cakes and chocolates or even heavy processed carbs, these bad bacteria are going to increase and good bacteria are going to go down. Again, bad bacteria is going back to your bloodstream and causing inflammation. That is the deeper aspect of it. Now, when we talk about the metabolic aspect, when you are constantly eating foods that are higher in their glycemic index, that is going to slow down your metabolism and that is going to make you put on weight. Weight loss, unlikely what we've heard that it's about calories.
Yes.
I don't think it's about calories. It might work for some people, but it's more about your blood sugar spike and it's more about your insulin and glucagon balance. also, this is why I said you should never eat every 2 hours, because that is going to again and again spike your blood sugar levels for no reason. And no matter how healthy you're eating, if it is in excess and if it's an extra calorie or extra sugar for you, the liver is going to just take it and store it as fat or as cholesterol. There's no other, even if it's a salad, but it's an excess salad, it is going to be stored in your fat stores. There's no other way it works in your body.
Proportion also matters.
Proportion matters, the timings matter, the gaps or spacing between the meals matter, because like you have insulin, the counterpart is glucagon. Okay? So when insulin goes down, glucagon is going up. And you know what is glucagon? It's a fat burning hormone. It's an anti-aging hormone. It helps you reduce bloating. It has exact opposite work than insulin. And eventually, if your insulin is down and you've not eaten food for a very long time, glucagon is going to start using your fat stores and convert that into energy for your body. So you're naturally melting your own stored fat. And that is why this whole game of blood sugar is so important. So it's just not for diabetics, it's for any normal human being.
Okay, so even before I get there, I just wanted to ask you, so intermittent fasting, does that really help you with all of this?
Yes, it does. So intermittent fasting has been, I think I've been doing it for the last 10 years now. And I feel it is the biggest anti-aging practice that you can do.
You're beautiful.
So I started playing tennis the other day, and my coach is like, "Which college do you go to?" I said, "No, I'm a mom. I have to go to work. I cannot come early because my kids go to school and I'm not going to any college." So, but the reason why is because it's the only practice in health that causes cellular detoxification.
I see.
So this is the only way. So you will find multiple diets in which your gut can get detoxed, your liver can get detoxed, you have superfoods, but there is no other practice that can make cellular detoxification happen. By that, what I mean, there are dead and decayed cells in our body, because wear and tear happens in everybody's body at different paces. And there is no other way of these dead and decayed cells to get thrown out of our body than intermittent fasting. Because when you do intermittent fasting, for our body, it's about survival of the fittest. So only the good and the healthy cells are going to be survived, and the bad and decayed and dead cells are going to be thrown out of your body by these macrophages, which are called as scavengers of your body. They're basically doing the work of sweeping. And this is why fasting has been miraculous in cancer recovery. Because what do you want to do in cancer? Get rid of these bad cells, right? Which are multiplying abnormally. And that is what fasting does to you. So intermittent fasting or fasting is basic protocol for cancer patients.
Beautiful, because people always relate intermittent fasting to losing weight.
Yeah.
But the real
Beyond that.
it's
much
beyond
that.
It's much beyond that. I'm glad that you've thrown light on this, But coming back to our sugar spike, we have a glycemic index and you have hyperglycemia, if I'm not mistaken, which is a high sugar spike.
Yes.
So is this related only to diabetics, or can anybody get this? And does that lead to diabetes? Because diabetes is on the rise. Yes, I know. And I've been reading, they say, but there's 100 million in India who are now suffering from diabetes.
True, very true.
So like 0.4% from a 7.1%.
Absolutely.
So if you could, throw some light on this particular topic.
So when we talk about diabetes, it's type 2 diabetes, which is increasing really fast. And type 2 diabetes is mainly caused because of your lifestyle choices and your food. And when we talk about that, let's also talk about childhood obesity and parents being obsessed with having chubby
Feeding their child.
Exactly. And and that is where it all starts, that the child itself does not know their right proportions and what they're supposed to eat. And eventually it reflects after the age of 18 or 20 that you'll end up into diabetes, but it starts as early as childhood, because that's where everything is made, that's where you're growing. Hyperglycemia will cause diabetes eventually if you do this over the period of time again, like every day you're eating these high sugary food thinking nothing is going to happen to you. Also, genetics are quite strong when it comes to diabetes. For example, hereditary is one of the, basically out of 10 people, if 5 people have a genetic history of diabetes, they'll pick up and they'll be positive for diabetes earlier than the other 5. But it is, again, even if you have it in your genes, you can control it with your diet and lifestyle.
That is what I wanted to know.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we here at our clinic, we do a lot of genetic testing where we find out what are genetic predispositions that you have. And we work with their diet and lifestyle in a way that these diseases never get reflected.
Oh my God. So it isn't, you don't transfer it to the next generation.
So there is, it is called as epigenetics, where you prevent the expression of these genes. And it's a well-proven science.
Well-proven science. And everything starts in your childhood.
Exactly. So even if at a later stage in life you're discovering that, oh yes, you do have a chance of developing diabetes or hypertension, it can be controlled very well. So that is completely in your control. So diabetes is on the rise, but it is 100% preventable with the smallest lifestyle modifications.
Yes.
And controlling your blood sugar spikes for every meal and having the right amount of proteins and good fats, because food combination is very important.
True.
And when you combine your food in a certain way, like for example, if you're just eating rice, now rice is high glycemic.
Yes.
But if you're having rice with dal and ghee, the glycemic index goes down.
Favorite meal.
And it's the best food combination, and it's a traditional combination. Exactly. Varan baat to.
Thank God.
And a little bit of pickle makes it even healthier, because pickle, the way they're preserved, they have good digestive properties. So it just adds to that. So, our traditional food combinations are extremely powerful. And dal chawal rice, with ghee is just an example of how a high glycemic food can be converted into a low glycemic meal with certain combinations. Yeah.
So to understand, diabetes can be controlled by your diet.
Yes.
And just like all of that, you need to also control your stress levels.
Yeah. Right.
Another thing is that would exercises also help you over here?
Yeah. With the diabetes.
Yes. Normally they say a diabetic has to walk,
Right.
he has to exercise, which controls his calorie intake, etc.
Right.
Could you throw some light on that?
Yeah.
How does that work?
So let's go beyond that.
Okay, fine.
Okay, let's talk about why do they need to exercise if they have diabetes. It's not about weight control. It's about increasing insulin sensitivity in your body. Because with diabetic people, they have problem with the insulin sensitivity. And that is why a lot of people have to take insulin injections also.
Yes.
When you do weight training, or when you do Pilates, or when you do yoga, because yoga also can be high intensity and you have to use your muscles in your body. So anything that helps you get more muscles, it will increase your insulin sensitivity.
Okay.
So the more muscle you have, the better insulin sensitivity you have, and also the better metabolism you have. So I always say that more than weight loss, because if you're just losing weight, you might be losing your muscle also.
Yes.
Focus on putting on more muscle and just lose the fat. So even if you're losing the weight slowly, it's fine, but do a strength training or resistance training. That is going to be highly beneficial for diabetics than any other form of workout.
Okay, wonderful. You talked about metabolism.
Yeah.
Also had a conversation. Could you throw some light about metabolism? Because everybody thinks that metabolism is all about burning your calories, and losing weight. So you have this slow metabolism, high rate. But as I gather, and from the reading that I've done, metabolism is very intricate.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of chemical processes to go along with it. If you could throw some light on that.
Yes. See, your metabolism is basically that happens in your liver. And your liver is mainly responsible for it. Your liver is something that is going to do and carry all these chemical reactions. So it's basically the center house of all processes in your body. Okay. Now, when we talk about relating metabolism with your calorie intake or calorie burning, if I am somebody whose diet is very heavy on the carbs, so my liver, for example, I just ate some white rice and I came here. Now my liver has to break down that white rice when it's transferred from my intestine to the liver and convert that into carbohydrates, right? Because I've eaten rice.
Yeah.
To do that, my liver is going to need 1 or 2 calories. It needs energy for doing all processes. So it might use 1 or 2 calories and convert that rice into glucose. And if I need it, it'll release it in my bloodstream. If I don't need it, it'll be stored in my body.
Okay.
But on the other hand, I consume eggs and I come for this podcast. So that is protein, right? It's majorly protein. To break down this egg, it will need 3 to 4 calories. So your body at rest, as I'm talking to you, it's burning way more calories than it would when it has to process a carb. And that is the whole game of metabolism. So this is why we always say that keep your diet high in protein, high in good fiber, and moderate on fats and lower in carbs. That works the best if you want to maintain your weight in the longer period, and if you also want to keep your metabolism high. The other thing that helps you keep your metabolism high is more muscles. The more muscles you have in the body, the more energy that body is burning at rest. Because the body will need more calories to maintain its temperature, to maintain other processes in the body. So the more muscle you have in the body, it's better for your aging processes and also for your metabolism and staying fit.
So coming back to this, so what are those things that you can do? You said strength training.
Yes.
The kinds of food that you eat.
Yeah.
You said high in protein.
Yeah.
So there are very many vegetarians over here that cannot consume
Yes.
meat and fish, which is
Right.
fine protein.
Right.
So what are those kinds of food that they can actually consume that will give them protein in that span of time?
Yes. So in fact, I think it's a myth that vegetarians don't get enough protein. I think we're just not looking for it.
Yes.
So, like for example, if you're having breakfast, you can include 1 tablespoon of chia seeds. It is excellent in protein. Almonds are great, walnuts are great. I always say combine these 4 types of seeds. So that is pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, flax seeds, and of course chia seeds. All these are super rich in proteins and good fats and lots of fiber. So, and these things can come into picture in the first half of the day. So that's your breakfast. Now, when you move to your lunch, make sure you're eating your dals and lentils and include different types of vegetables. So broccoli has good amount of protein as well.
Okay.
And so with vegetarian, the trick is you cannot consume any one type of protein. You have to have as many varieties as possible because every lentil has a different amino acid formation.
Yes.
So to have all the 9 essential amino acids that our body needs, you have to consume different types of lentils and have it together, or you can have it at different times, that's fine. Mushrooms are a great source of protein.
Yes.
Tofu is great. Paneer is great, but with the, I've been seeing a lot of, well, not just lactose intolerance, people are making paneer out of just chemicals and not real milk.
It's a scary effect.
Exactly. So, I make paneer at home with milk. So I would, suggest everyone that you can, if you have a good source of dairy and milk is coming to your house, you can just make paneer at home.
Yes.
That's way safer for kids and for the family as well. But paneer, if you can digest lactose, it's a great source of protein. I have discovered some really, I know we are complaining about the products that we are getting in the market, but honestly, I'm seeing such wonderful products as well. Certain brands have come up with pure lentil pastas, pure lentil noodles, and the ingredients are just the lentils and maybe some isabgol and, xanthan gum. These are all healthy ingredients and very clean ingredients. There's this one brand I saw, they're making wraps with almond flour and they're making wraps with chickpea flour. So, there are brands which are coming up with, if you want, I can name the brands also because they're coming with such wonderful products today. Yeah, exactly. So forget about it. I mean, you can go on the Amazon and do your own research.
Seriously.
But, you just have to look for the right thing and it's right there. So, I love to make these wraps with some veggies in it. And that's an excellent different option. They're yummy.
Very yummy.
And very clean ingredients, very less, no preservatives. And
This was a question. Yes.
Yeah.
Because preservatives can harm you if you've got IBS and GERD gastritis.
Very true.
And the shelves are full of all of this. And
Yeah.
I mean, my heart aches because parents are feeding them chips and what have we right on the shelves, and
Yes,
that can in the long run actually progress into style ailment.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you talked of amino acids and your metabolism requires all of these amino
Yeah.
acids, and we have 9 essential
Yes.
types of amino acids.
Right.
So your nutrition is so important to take care of everything.
Everything. And you need everything. You can't have an excuse and tell your body that this is what I'm going to eat.
Yeah.
That brings me to also a point that supplements are a necessity. You can't skip supplements. But it has to be, again, highly customized, because
Yes.
we live in times where we don't get the purest of food. This is like a never-ending debate when I tell people to stay away from wheat, and they are like, our Dadajis ate, our
Yes.
Nani ji ate, but the quality of wheat that they had, the fiber content in that wheat and the wheat that we get today, same goes with dairy, and same goes. There's a huge difference. It's just these foods are called the same, but they're not the same at all.
And one of the reasons, sorry to have interrupted you, is that everything is chemicalized today.
Exactly.
I mean, a cow is injecting.
Yes.
Because a cow, only after she has given birth, can actually give you that amount of milk.
Yeah.
And here we have
Millions
in India.
Yeah, and you have hormones and injections and antibiotics and everything being injected
into them, and that's getting into our system.
Right.
Even vegetables. So
Yeah.
what do you eat finally?
Exactly.
I'm sorry, Dr. Watson, this kind of a question. I mean, common sense tells us, okay, have organic food, but is that organic food really going to be organic?
Yeah.
So how do you
Exactly. So you have to navigate yourself through certain habits. That is why I always make sure I'm not eating like 5-6 times a day. I eat 2 meals, and I make sure they're coming from as clean source as possible, and they're as least processed as possible. But at the same time, I have a nice bunch of supplements that I make sure I eat.
Okay.
So some of them are the nutritional supplements according to the vitamins that I have deficient in my body.
Okay.
And I always suggest everybody to do their blood test every 6 months
Yes.
to see what is going on with your body.
Wonderful.
I always tell everybody, just because a doctor or a nutritionist is saying something, don't follow it. You do your blood test every 6 months and see whatever you're doing is actually working for your body or not working. Because people do come to me and tell me that I've been doing everything right.
But it's not
I've been
helping.
doing everything perfectly. Why are my reports like this?
Yes.
That is because you think you're doing right, but your body doesn't. It's not matching up. So the advice that you're taking is not working with you. That is why, it's very important to work one-on-one, to work according to your blood work, and with the supplements, take the right vitamins according to your blood reports, but at the same time have a good support of antioxidants. Because, there's constant oxidation happening with the food that you are eating and the environment that you are exposed to. So you need a good supply of antioxidants also. And intermittent fasting can be a bottom line because it's helping you cleanse all the inflammation and all the toxin that these foods are giving you. Whether it's food induced, whether it's stress induced, whether it's anything induced, fasting is just helping you cleanse. So that can, I think 16 hours of intermittent fasting can be a day-to-day lifestyle for anybody. It's highly recommendable.
One last question, and before we get into this rapid fire with you, I've got a few questions.
Yeah.
So they say aging also brings in inflammation.
Yeah. Yes.
How does that work?
Yeah.
I was
So,
yeah.
So, a 10-year-old, there is a process called as wear and tear in your body.
Yes.
Okay. So there is your cell turnover, that the pace at which your body is generating new cells and the collagen in your body. And that is the regeneration is happening at a very faster pace in a 10-year-old than the tear, the wear and tear in his body or her body. But now when we talk about a 60-year-old or a 70, or even let's talk about like what happens after 40s, the wear and tear takes over. That's happening at a larger speed than the regeneration and rebuilding and regrowth. At the same time, your body is undergoing, every cell is undergoing a lot of oxidation.
Yes.
And there's only one thing that can counteract that is antioxidants, whether you get it from food or from supplements or from exercise.
Yes.
So beyond the age of, I would just say 35, it's your time to constantly start balancing this out. So your diet has to be super rich in antioxidants to, fight the oxidation that's happening in your body, which is just primarily responsible for aging. At the same time, when you do intermittent fasting, the biggest detail of this is also your body
Is repairing.
is repairing and it is secreting something called as growth hormone. Growth hormone is your anti-aging hormone.
Yes.
And for people who do one meal a day at least twice or thrice a week, or even once a week, growth hormone secretion is 500 times more than a normal, person with a normal lifestyle. So that is how powerful fasting is. So it is not just going to help you with the autophagy or cellular cleansing. Growth hormone will also help you with anti-aging. So intermittent fasting coupled with a diet super rich in antioxidants, fruits, vegetables, excellent in antioxidants, it is going to help you way more. And of course, more muscles. Muscles also help you age slowly. High protein diet. All these work beautifully if you want to age gracefully. Yeah, I will not say reverse aging, I would say age gracefully. Yeah, and I don't know if you've checked these scales where you have your metabolic age and you have your biological age. So I always say that metabolically I'm still 25.
Because
So you can find out and see what is your age according to your body's metabolism and how your organs are functioning. And with the right fitness, it can be reversed. When I was 20 kgs plus, I think I was 37 years. I got shocked seeing that. But that also does go down below your biological age, which is great.
great. That is if your metabolism is perfect, and for your metabolism, you need all of these processes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So primarily it's your metabolism that matters, and you've got to take care of that.
Yes.
Yeah, because of all the chemical processes. Right. Because according to your metabolism is where your cells can be repaired. Yes. And growth hormones can take place.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wonderful, doctor. It's been such a delight talking to you.
I had a superb time too.
Well, I'm glad. So I've got a couple of questions here, like a rapid fire.
Okay.
And the first one is cardio or strength training?
Strength training.
Any day. Yeah, because you've been talking about it. Yeah. And that is where you build your muscles.
Yes.
So you need weights.
Yes.
So do you need light weights or heavy weights?
Anything, just resistance training in any form that works with you.
Okay. All right. Brilliant. It says meditation or journaling.
That's a tough one. But I feel I would go more with journaling because it helps me release. These are my choices. So I would always prefer, because a lot of times your mind is at such a place that meditation becomes really tough. So on those days, journaling itself is like a meditation for me. It works quite well.
Okay.
Yeah.
A question for me. How would breathing help you in all of this? Deep breathing, pranayama, things like that.
So it works perfectly. Like I recommend this to a lot of people that in the middle of a bad day, try just deep breathing 10 times. I'm not even saying box breathing and all, because that is again, you have to, get into the details and learn and everything. Just 10 deep breaths really help you, because in a stressful situation, the first thing that gets affected is your breath. And the moment your breath gets shallow, there's lesser oxygen supply to your brain. So take a pause between meetings and try 10 deep breaths, and you'll be surprised how well you react to situation after that. So it's just as simple as that.
So I actually teach box breathing to my students.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I do it, especially at the D.Y. Patil Institute.
Okay, lovely, great. I think students need to learn that.
Yeah, but it takes so much of effort to actually make them get into a regular form.
Yeah.
They don't realize how important all of this is. Our science is all science is really
Right.
well, great.
True. Very true.
And just to sum it up.
Yeah.
Fruit-based dessert or chocolate-based dessert?
For me, it's going to be chocolate-based because chocolates has more polyphenols.
Okay.
And I'm a person whose guilty pleasure is something that is chocolatey than fruity.
Okay.
So it's my personal choice, chocolates. Yeah.
I go with that too, but then, as you age, you control a few things.
Yeah, and really good antioxidants.
Yeah, seriously, absolutely. So how much of chocolate can we eat in a day?
I always say 80% dark and 1 small cube every day.
Every day.
That's fine. Yeah.
Oh, that's really nice. After every meal or just in a day?
So I always say that find out your peak craving time. Okay. So I normally have this craving around 7 o'clock. after I eat my dinner quite early. So after that, I have this strong craving of having something sweet to just end it.
Yeah.
So a small cube of dark chocolate works great.
Brilliant. I'm going to start having that. Oh, okay. The next one is protein bars or protein shakes.
I would, if I have to choose, I would go with protein shakes because lesser calories, more pure ingredients. Because again, for protein bars to bind, there's a lot of other things used in it. Because I have my own energy bars, and also I know what goes into making a protein bar. Yes. So that's not a protein bar, that's an energy bar. Like it's all purely made with dates and coconut oil.
Oh, I love dates.
So that is it, and so it's not going to spike your blood sugar or anything like that. No other sweetener. Whereas protein bars, they also have additional protein powder. So I don't want to mess up my gut by having extra protein powder and then bunch of high sugary things and preservatives. I would just prefer having a protein powder.
But you can make a protein bar at home. Why?
You can, exactly.
All these preservatives. Yeah. Okay. Organic produce or local produce.
Local and organic. And
confusing this question is, yes,
it has to be local and organic, though I feel organic is not very easily accessible. So I would also like to bring awareness to the concept of home farming and farming at home and home gardening, because that does give you control over how you're making your own produce.
Okay.
And it can be done in a as small place as a balcony with certain foods. And there are a lot of companies who are doing this, and a lot of people are now opting for home gardening and home farming, at least for basic things that you use on a day-to-day basis. And that's starting a revolution on a whatever small scale it is, because it helps. And the more this builds, there will be better ideas coming with this concept. So that makes organic easy. And with local, I mean you have to eat local and seasonal. For example, if we are in Maharashtra, go for groundnut or shingdana oil, then going for sarso. But if you're living in north, go for sarso. If you're in south, coconut oil is great. So eating local agrees with the way your body responds to the environment of that place.
Yes.
So that is why local is also important. Yeah.
Everybody's using a lot of olive oil nowadays. What do you say to that?
Have it raw, don't cook in it, because it has a low smoking point.
Yeah. That's it. You can't, have it.
You can't
heated. Nice. Okay. Low carb or a balanced diet?
For me, low carb.
Okay.
Because my definition of balanced is different from the book definition. For me, a balanced diet is higher in protein, higher in fiber. And for example, if I have to choose, it's 40% protein, 30% fiber.
Okay.
And 15% good fats, and remaining 15 will be carbs. So you can call it either low carb, but for me, that's a balanced diet.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No, wonderful. It's good to know all of that. We hear a lot about herbal teas nowadays.
Yeah.
So herbal tea or coffee?
Both have, so for me, herbal teas at night, because lots of immunity benefits, gut benefits. The herbs and spices that we have in India have good antioxidants, helps you unwind with the day. So herbal teas for evening, but mornings coffee.
But
It starts with coffee, yeah.
Why does coffee wake you up? Or there are certain special antioxidants, or I don't know. You tell me. That's really help you.
So my coffee, it's 1 cup black coffee in the morning, 1 big tablespoon of ghee in that, 1 spoon of coconut oil in that.
Lovely.
And if there are days when I feel that I've done a lot of weight training, I do put collagen and creatine in that. So my daughter says, this is not coffee anymore. This is some drink you're having, which is like some health thing. This does not classify as coffee. She's told me many times. But ghee coffee, I like to call it, because I like to start my day with a good fat. So I believe in the concept of fat first.
So I'm glad.
So that has been my routine for years now. So yeah, that's my coffee.
So I have date and ghee together.
Right.
Is that helpful?
It's great. It's great.
Okay.
So when I was pregnant, I would put date in a ghee, in a jar of ghee, and then eat that date, because it will not spike your blood sugar because of the ghee as well. Also, dates have more fiber. So it will not spike your blood sugar. Yes, lots of good iron in that, lots of nutrients, lots of antioxidants. Ghee itself is cleansing. It's like consuming ghee first thing in the morning. It's basically like oiling a machine.
Oh, thank you so much, because this is what I do. This is the first thing in the morning. Because I like something sweet, and this really helps, with that. Oh, wonderful. What about organic jaggery? If you mix it up with, ghee on your date and you have a little bit of jaggery in that.
So I think jaggery is not going to do, it's not going to do anything different. It's going to do the same, it's going to give you the same benefit as any sugar, but you're anyway getting the sweetness from the date.
So why
So
use
there is no extra benefit of doing the jaggery because you're also getting iron from the date. You don't need jaggery if you're anyway already having a date.
Yes.
Also, whether you're consuming jaggery, whether you're consuming coconut sugar, whether you're consuming brown sugar, or whether you're consuming too many dates. Let's not talk about one date, let's talk about too many dates. It's going to trigger the same insulin response in your body because your body identifies it as a sugar. Your body is not going to say, is it jaggery, is it sugar? It's going to debrief it into its nutrient levels. So majorly it's sugar, maybe a little bit of other nutrients, and maybe some iron when it comes to jaggery and dates.
Okay.
So you still have to do it in the limit.
Right. Everything is controlled.
Yes,
Everything is controlled. The last one. And this I would like for the audience to know, because everybody talks about almond milk, oat milk.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of it is, the good stuff that you get out there.
Right.
So is it almond milk or oat milk that you would suggest?
Almond milk any day. I don't recommend oat milk at all. Because if you want to do plant-based, do anything other than oat milk because it is extremely high glycemic. It is not low glycemic at all. And people who are not lactose intolerant, instead of going for oat milk, just have full fat milk from a good dairy if you can digest lactose, because that will still have lower glycemic index and that will still be better than oat milk, because oat milk is just blended oats with a lot of water and chemical. And oats itself, if you're not having it with the right fiber and nuts, it itself is very high glycemic. It's a carb.
I've read all about that, and I would never
Exactly. So oat milk, I think it's a big, I don't want to say, it's very misguiding. People think they're using plant based, but it's not. And you would rather do almond, or even like a lot of people make cashew milk. It turns out really, really well. Coconut milk is great.
Oh,
so those are your plant-based options.
the best
Works
milk.
well.
Works very well. I have so many more questions to ask, and I hope you're going to give us a chance to have another talk with you.
Absolutely. I'm happy to do that.
You have delighted me, and I'm sure our audience over there also is going to be delighted with the insights that you've shown on inflammation, sugar spike, our metabolism. And one of the greatest things that you and I have to really take care of is our stress levels, which spikes the cortisol, which is our stress hormone. So whether it be through journaling, whether it be through meditation, through breathing, and good nutrition, we need to take care of all of that and have a balanced life, a balanced diet, because everything starts with our gut. And we've really got to take a look at that. God bless you all. Thank you so much for listening to us intently. God, thank you so much, my dear girl. God bless you too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.